and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be doing my May and June, May and June. I was like, that's not right. It is May and June what I watched video. Now this is a little bit late. I didn't do one in May because I didn't watch many films. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll combine the two. And then for some reason in my last Monday movie hunt you'll see that I thought I did it and I was like, I haven't filmed that video yet. So here it is. This is what I watched in May and June. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So the first film that I watched in May was Legend, which came out in 2015. And this has Tom Hardy in, and he plays two different characters. And to be honest, I wasn't really wanting to watch this one, but Josh really wanted to watch it. He'd seen it before. It was his pick. And I actually really enjoyed it. I've completely forgotten the name of the characters, because it's about the twins, and you would know who I mean. I'm just clicking on it now on Letterboxd to see if it, the Cray twins, okay, or the Cray brothers. And it was actually really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and I would definitely watch it again. So if you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend it. I liked it, I thought it was a good film, and again, I would watch it again. And it wasn't one that I'd be like, oh yeah, it was just okay. I thought it was a really good film, really well done. I thought Tom Hardy was fantastic. He plays both of the brothers. So I thought that was brilliant. I just loved the idea of that and how that was came across. I thought the story was interesting, and the whole time I was just engaged, and I thought it was just a good, well done film. So I did really enjoy Legend, and I was really happy that I did watch it, because it wasn't one that I was particularly planning to watch, but I'm really glad that I did. So that was that one. And then the second film I watched was another one that I didn't think I was going to quite enjoy, and then I really did. And that is War Dogs from 2016. Now this has Miles Teller and, oh my gosh, what's his name? I'm trying to look at the picture of him there. Miles Teller, my brain obviously isn't working today. Miles Teller and Jonah Hill. Okay, I kept wanting to say Seth Rogen, but I knew it wasn't Seth Rogen, and I knew it began with a J. Jonah Hill. Miles Teller and Jonah Hill. Okay, so I love Miles Teller. I think he's actually really fantastic. The first time that I really thought he was great was obviously when I saw Whiplash. I was like, yeah, he is brilliant. And then he was in Only the Brave, which I thought was fantastic. And then I thought, yeah, okay, I'll watch War Dogs because I really like Miles Teller. And it was basically about, Miles Teller and Jonah Hill coming together as friends to sell and import, like, weapons and stuff, like, illegally buy. And it was kind of, I can't really know how to explain it because I really don't know anything much about that, and the concept itself didn't sound interesting to me, but I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was really well done, and I definitely would watch it again. I gave it 4.5 stars. I just really enjoyed it. I just thought it was a really good film. It was interesting and different, and the characters were great, and I don't know what it was. I mean, it was a while ago now since I obviously watched this and a few of these, because it was beginning of May. But I thought it was really good, and I definitely would watch it again, so I'm glad that I finally picked that one up. And if you've been on the fence about it, I would recommend it. I thought it was really good, and I really enjoyed it. So that was War Dogs. The next one that I watched was a rewatch, and I rewatched Pokemon, the movie I Choose You, and I gave it 4 stars this time around. I think I gave it 4.5 the first time. I really liked the film, and I really like the end, and there's a lot of things I like about it. But overall, there's a few parts that, I don't know, I wouldn't say I find it a little bit slow. I just, upon rewatching it, I found it a little bit slower going. I don't really know how to explain that, because it's quite a short film. But I enjoyed it. It was cute and fun. The first time I watched it, I absolutely loved it, and I couldn't wait to rewatch it. So I rewatched it. I did enjoy it. I would still watch it again in the future, but I didn't just enjoy it quite as much. The next one was also a rewatch, and that was The Book Thief from 2013. I'd seen this years ago when it came out on Blu-ray, so I hadn't rewatched it in a really long time, so I thought, yeah, I really want to rewatch that. Josh hadn't seen it, so I was like, oh, you need to see this. And I had got a book for my birthday, which was The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and I actually think I read that in June, but either way, it kind of made me want to watch some more World War II films, and I love The Book Thief, so I thought I'll rewatch that one. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. It's a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, but you're not super into World War II films, I think you still enjoy it because the characters are brilliant. Liesl is just a fantastic character, and it's just more of a, I mean, it is, a World War II film, but there's no actual war. It's not a war film. It's just set around that time. It's about this little girl who has to be evacuated to the, where does she move to? I wouldn't even say it's really the country, but anyway, she has to move and you know, live with these people she's never known before, and she meets these friends, and it's kind of just about her and her life, and quite a lot goes on in it, and it's the war kind of through her eyes, and she really loves books and reading, and the adoptive parents of her, the father, I love him, he's fantastic, just brilliant, and she makes this little friend who I love as well. It's just a really, really nice story. Yeah, so I love the book Thief, gave it 4.5 stars. The next one that I watched was a new release at the time in May, and that was The Greatest Showman from 2017. I loved it. I was so happy that I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I feel like I haven't watched a film since that I've loved as much since I watched The Greatest Showman. I keep hoping that I'll find a new release that I'll love again, but so far The Greatest Showman's been one of those ones that just, I loved it. I loved the music, I loved it visually, I loved the story, I just enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would. There was a lot of hype surrounding The Greatest Showman, but last year there was a lot of hype surrounding La La Land, and I didn't really enjoy La La Land at all, so I was like, well, am I going to enjoy The Greatest Showman? And I did, and I was so glad that I did. I watched it on my birthday, and it was just the best time, and I loved it. So definitely would recommend The Greatest Showman if you like musicals. I've now bought the CD soundtrack, and I just love it. The next one that I watched was Ferdinand, again from 2017. This was one of the Monday Movie Hunts from May as well. And again, this one 3.5 stars. This is an animated film, and I think it's based on like a classic story, and I enjoyed it. But to be honest, it's a little bit forgettable. Like even now, I'm trying to remember it, and I just can't quite remember it. It's about this girl who ends up with this bull, and the bull, he was originally being raised to do bullfights, and he didn't want to, and he loves flowers and all things like that, and he runs away, and he meets this little girl, and yeah, their kind of bond's kind of cute, but then what happens is, early on in the film, they get separated. And I really liked the bull and the little girl, they were cute together, and so I was like, oh yeah, okay, it was kind of just, you know, your typical kind of cookie cutter animation, I guess, in terms of the story and the plot, but it was cute enough, and I gave it 3.5 stars. The next one that I watched was Molly's Game. Again, this was a new one for May. It was a 2017 release, and I gave this 3.5 stars as well. I really like the main character in this. I can't remember her name. Jessica Chastain. There we go. I remembered her name. Thank gosh. I really like her. I think she's great. And this is basically based on that true story of this poker game that was going on and all about that. And I'm not really, I don't know how to play poker at all. I'm not really big into poker, but I thought it sounded interesting. And it was interesting. However, I think it was a little bit too long. I just think it went on too long. And I was enjoying it and I was interested in it, and then certain parts dragged out a little bit. So I did enjoy it, and I did, you know, find it an interesting story, but I just think it went on a little bit too long. So that's why I gave it 3.5. Now the next one that I watched was another new one for May, and it was 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, again from 2017. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. The acting in this film was brilliant. Everybody's performance was brilliant. I just loved this film. It was absolutely brilliant. I hope that if I rewatch it, I definitely do want to rewatch it, but I hope when I rewatch it, I'd maybe even give it 5 stars, because I haven't stopped thinking about this one since, and it was just amazing. So if you haven't seen this one yet, I definitely would recommend it. It's quite a dark film in places, but it was just so brilliantly acted that I don't know, I can't really explain it. I just felt like the characters were so real. Let me just find out what there's 2 people. So obviously Woody Harrelson's in this. He completely blew me away, but he always does. And then also, there we go, Frances McDormand. She is the kind of lead character in this, and she's absolutely brilliant. And it's basically a story about her and the kind of police system. Her daughter was raped and murdered, and she never really got any justice from it. It never got solved. So it's her kind of putting a kind of protest up or fight up against that and trying to find out why we haven't sorted it out, and that's what it's about. Woody Harrelson is one of the policemen, and it's just a fantastic film, so I definitely recommend 3 Billboards. It was brilliant. So the next one that I watched in May was The Commuter, which came out in 2018, but again it was another May Monday Movie Hunt. I gave this one 3 stars. It was just kind of okay, and it got a little bit weird at the end. So basically this one has Liam Neeson in it. I do really enjoy Liam Neeson films, but they're usually kind of similar. Well, these type of action ones are anyway. But basically, it's like this man on his train, and he gets given this hypothetical situation by this passenger who he doesn't know. He rides the train every day to work and back, to work and back. And they say, you know, what would you do if we would give you, you know, this amount of money and... Or is it to do with money? I'm sure it is. This amount of money, because I think he's struggling for money. I think he got fired. I'm not sure. If we give you this amount of money and all you need to do is find the person on the train who doesn't fit and get their bag, and then you save the lives of loads of people. Would you do it? So, you know, I can't remember quite what he says, but it ends up not being a hypothetical situation, as he soon realises. And then he gets into this whole thing and keeps getting deeper and deeper into this whole thing. And then it goes on kind of more and more. It has got some twists and turns, but it wasn't super exciting, and the reveal wasn't super exciting either. So it was just okay for me, but it was one of those killer action movies you could put on. But I do feel like actually, I think I got a little bit lost at the end. I was like, hold on, wait. So, you know, it's not a complete brain out action movie, which I think it would have been better if it would have been. I do like twists and turns, but more like shocking, not having to think back too much ones. I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't super complicated. It's just at the end it was like, okay. But yes, that was Commuter. It was okay. The next one that I watched was Coco from 2017. This, of course, was the new Disney Pixar movie based on the Mexican Day of the Dead, which I was super excited about because I love the Book of Life. So I gave Coco 4 stars. Now I think I would give it more upon rewatch, because I've been thinking about Coco since I watched it. So obviously I watched this at the end of May, and you know, it's now July. So I have been thinking about it since, and I'm looking forward to rewatching it. I hope I would enjoy it more when I do rewatch it. I feel like for me, Disney Pixar movies haven't been hitting as high a level as they have in the past. The past few for me haven't hit that point, which is a bit of a shame, but Coco I feel like did. I don't know, I don't know why I gave it 4 stars now. I can't really remember. I loved Coco as a character. I loved the setting, and I loved that he went into, you know, the other world. I don't know, I feel like I just maybe expected a little bit more. Some people really love this film, and I feel like I would love it over time. What's interesting is my second favourite Disney film ever is Tangled. Okay, so I went to see Tangled in the cinema, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. I thought, yeah, I enjoyed that, and it was okay. And then I watched Tangled when it came out on Blu-ray, and I enjoyed it a bit more. And then I watched it again, and I enjoyed it a bit more, and then eventually I loved Tangled so much, and I thought it was the best thing ever, and I'd watch it all the time. But initially, that first time I watched it, I didn't completely love it. I just thought it was good, and I enjoyed it. So to be fair, oftentimes, I don't know, I just can't really explain it. Like, for example, I watched Dolphin Tale. The first time I ever watched it, if you know me, you'll know I love Dolphin Tale. It's one of my favourite movies. I love it. I could watch it all the time. I think it's great. The first time I watched it, I watched maybe 40 minutes of it, and I turned it off. I was like, oh, I'm not really enjoying this. I'm going to turn it off. And I turned off Dolphin Tale. The next time I watched it, I loved it. Thought it was the best thing ever. So I feel like that was just an important point to put out there about me, that sometimes movies that I do love, I don't necessarily completely love them initially. And I'm wondering if Coco is going to be one of those films, because I can't really think of many flaws with it. I just personally didn't completely fall in love with it. But I also really do love the Book of Life, which is similar. I don't think the Book of Life is actually as good. I think it's got a little bit more of a slower pace. So I do think this is a better film. But I loved the Book of Life more the first time I watched it. So there we go. And then the final one I watched in May, I rewatched The Greatest Showman, because I loved it so much, and I still gave it 5 stars. I loved it even more, and I can't wait to rewatch it again in the future as well. So now we're moving on to June. See, I told you I didn't watch too many films in May, and I didn't watch too many in June. So the first one I watched in June was The Post, which came out in 2017. I gave this 4 stars, which really surprised me. I thought it was really interesting. It's got Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep in, who of course were both fantastic. It's directed by Steven Spielberg, so of course that's brilliant as well. But basically it's based around the Vietnam War and the headlines, or not the headlines, sorry, the documents that were discovered about certain decisions that were made to do with the Vietnam War that weren't necessarily correct, and that the public were kind of deceived about. And it's about the Post, the newspaper, and their decision whether or not to, what to do with this information, I suppose. I thought it was really, really interesting, and I really enjoyed it, and I definitely would watch it again, which I find interesting. I thought I was going to find it a little bit slow and boring, but I didn't. I was engaged the whole time. I thought it was really interesting, and I just really thought it was a good film. And I thought the topic was really interesting as well, because it was something I didn't really know about. So I really, really enjoyed that one. I would recommend it if you're kind of interested at all. And I thought it was really quite good. And so the next one that I watched was, I rewatched Deadpool from 2016. And this is obviously because Deadpool 2 is coming out, and so I thought, yeah, I'll rewatch Deadpool. So I gave it 4 stars. I like Deadpool, but I wasn't completely obsessed with it as everyone else was. I think it's funny. I think it's great that they did kind of like an R-rated superhero movie. I think Deadpool is great as a character. I do really like the comedy and the breakdown of the fourth wall. Yes, I really, really like that. And however, you know, kind of the story and the origin story of Deadpool can get a little bit dark in terms of what actually went on. And I feel like, I don't know, for me, then it goes back to the comedy and it's dark, and I don't know, I do find it kind of, not depressing, but a little bit, you know, I really feel bad in the situation, you know, because obviously, if you don't know, Deadpool, before he's Deadpool, gets cancer, and so he kind of has to struggle with that, and I just found that really sad. Both times I watched it, I'm always like, oh, that's really sad, and you know, it's supposed to be, you know, such a funny movie, which it is. So I just find the mix a little bit, I don't know, I can't really explain it, so that's why I give it 4. I had the same thing last time. I'm hoping that I'll enjoy the second one a little bit more, because obviously, you know, I don't mind a darker spin on things, but when it comes to kind of illness and those kind of more realistic, darker things, do you know what I mean? Whereas like a dark theme of like, there's this bad guy and he's torturing him, that isn't too much of a thing, which obviously does happen, but isn't too much of a contrast, but that kind of more realistic contrast with the comedy, I just didn't quite find as easy to transition through to kind of the darker bits to the comedy, So I'm hoping in the second one, obviously, I might enjoy it a little bit more. So yeah, that's Deadpool. The next one I watched was Downsizing from 2017. Now, people have hated this movie. It's Matt Damon. They're in a world where they try and make people really small so that we save more energy and more eco-friendly. I thought that it was going to be different. It was definitely different than what I thought it was going to be. It gave it 3 stars. I really liked the... I watched this film on the 10th of June. So it's over a month ago now, and I can't remember what the lady... I'll look now. There's this character in it who I loved. Okay, so she has quite a complicated name to pronounce. Her name is... Oh, I'm just going to completely butcher it. I can't remember them saying it in the film. Okay, I'll describe the character to you. Because she was absolutely fantastic and deserves a lot of the credit, because she's the main reason I enjoyed the film. So if you've seen the film or you've seen the trailer, you'll know the character. So Matt Damon, to no surprise to anyone, it's on the cover, it's everywhere, makes himself small. And then they live in this world where, you know, obviously you can have more luxuries because you're small. And there's the character who is played by Christopher Waltz. And he lives in this really cool penthouse suite, and Matt Damon goes there one night for a party. And the next day, they have a cleaning service come in. And one of the ladies from the cleaning service, she was one of the famous, well, the survivor that came over on a, I don't know, they were made small through no choice of their own and put in a suitcase or something. And she survived anyway. And then she has injured her leg. Now, Matt Damon before used to do physiotherapy and stuff like that. So he is like, you know, let me help you. And she then, to that character, she starts out, you know, as the one of the cleaners in the cleaning company, cleaning Christopher Waltz's house. She is honestly the best character. I thought she was brilliant. I loved her, and she's for me what made the film interesting. Okay, I've realised I think I'm going into way more depth about what the films are about. So let me know down in the comments below if you like that or not. I feel like I don't usually do that because the camera keeps cutting me off because I've been talking too long about the films. But anyway, I was saying about Downsizing, and I said I would definitely rewatch it again, solely on the basis for that character. I'm really hoping that it got my description of the character in and what I enjoyed about it, because it kind of cut off. So yeah, hopefully. Okay, the next one I watched was Winchester from 2018. This has got Helen Mirren in, and basically it's about the family of the the Winchester family, who, you know, the Winchester guns, that family, and how that kind of haunts Helen Mirren's character as a person, knowing that the guns that they produce have, you know, killed so many people. And it's based on a true story about this house, and, you know, it's supposed to be said to be this haunted house, really haunted house. And I thought it was going to be really, really interesting, and it was just, it really fell flat. I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was only okay. It wasn't really scary, but it wasn't really interesting in plot. I feel like it could have been done so much better, because it was such an interesting story. I'm still interested in that kind of true story, so I just feel like this could have been done better, and I was a little bit disappointed with it, to be honest. So that was a little bit of a disappointment, but it wasn't the worst thing to watch ever. I just was hoping it would be a lot better. Okay, so the next one that I watched was Father Figures from 2017. This has Ed Helms, hopefully that's his name, and Owen Wilson. And basically, I think they've been told that their father had died, and then they find out that he hadn't. So they try and go on this journey to try and find him. And it's funny enough. I gave it 3 stars. It's not as good as I would have wanted it to be. I do really like just kind of easygoing, funny comedies that aren't, you know, anything serious. But this one just felt a little bit flat. I've been wanting kind of a good comedy for a while, and this wasn't quite it. But it was okay. I wouldn't necessarily not watch it again. If somebody wanted to watch it and they said, oh yeah, I wanted to watch that, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to rewatch it. But yeah, Father Figures, it was just okay. It wasn't super funny. It was okay. The next one I watched was 12 Strong from 2018. This has Chris Hemsworth in it, and it is about the 12 horsemen. I don't know what they're actually calling them. And so basically what happens is, obviously 9/11 happens, and then people are sent to, where are they trying to get to? I don't know the exact, they're trying to get to this exact certain, well, see, it doesn't give me the, it doesn't give you the exact place. It's in Afghanistan. I can't remember. They're trying to, so in Afghanistan, they're trying to get from one place to the other to kind of take over this certain area to kind of take out the Taliban. That's what's basically happening. And they end up with these horses, so it became quite a famous story. It's based on a true story. It was very different to what I thought it was going to be. So I've watched films before about the kind of about the war in Afghanistan, but not really like this. It was very much a war film in the sense of the fighting aspects, which was interesting because usually films like this, I find them more, you kind of see the other side of things, whereas this was really kind of, you know, they're fighting with these people, they're kind of making alliances and trying to get through to different areas, and there's other people trying to do the same thing, and it was very interesting. It was very heavy on the, I wouldn't call them battle scenes, because that's not really, I guess, what they are in this kind of modern day. If it was World War II, I guess they'd be battle scenes. I don't really know what they call them now. But anyway, you know, the kind of fighting scenes. Again, not the right word. Either way, I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was very interesting. I always enjoy true story movies. And this was, you know, an interesting one that I didn't know much about. So that it was a good film. I thought it was interesting because Chris Hemsworth in it. I've not heard many people talk about this film. And he's obviously quite a big star, of course, now. But yeah, so 12 Strong was a good film. The next one is Black Panther from 2018. Okay, people were going nuts over Black Panther. Everybody loved it, and I think what I will say first of all is that I think it's a very important film in terms of the diversity that the film shows. And my favourite thing about this whole film was definitely the culture within the film. I thought that was brilliant. It felt so rich and real with culture, and I loved that. And that's my favourite thing about the film. Well, one of my favourite things about the film. I did have a few more favourite things, to be fair. I loved I think it was the sister. If you've seen the film, which I'm sure you'll have, there's a sister and she invents all the stuff and she kind of has a lab. She was fantastic. I loved her so much. She was brilliant. But overall, I gave Black Panther 4 stars. I kind of have hyped it up a little bit too much. I thought I was going to think it was the best Marvel movie, you know, there ever was. I didn't enjoy it quite to the level that, I think I just put too much of a thing on. I think the same with Coco. I had this happen to me last year when Moana came out and Fantastic Beasts came out. I put them too much on a pedestal, and then I ended up only giving them about 4 stars. So I feel like I do that and that happens. However, I will say, I do find when Marvel introduce new characters now, for example, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, there was another one, I find I only give them about this rating. I find the origin story, I don't always enjoy the first film now. Whereas, like, you know, I'm really looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp, say. I think I'll enjoy that so much more than the first Ant-Man. But then I also think when I rewatch Ant-Man, after now seeing Ant-Man in Civil War, say, I will enjoy it more. So I'm looking forward to rewatching Black Panther after watching Infinity War, because of course the characters are in that, which I can't wait for. I think the characters are fantastic, and I really liked the culture, but I think the story and some of the world I wasn't super invested into, or maybe I thought maybe it was a little bit long. I don't know, but either way, I do think it's an important film. I think it's brilliant to have represented as much diversity as that it did. So I don't want to kind of, you know, whatever on the film, but I just wanted to give like an honest opinion on it. I think it was more the plot. I don't know. I just maybe it was just that I hyped it up too much. Again, same with Coco. I couldn't really tell you why I gave it 4. It was just I had built it up too much. Whereas, for example, with The Greatest Showman, I was nervous that I wouldn't really like it. I thought, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this. So I had that low expectations, and then it completely blew me out of the water. So I need to kind of manage expectations better, to be honest. But either way, Black Panther, I'm looking forward to rewatching it, because I think now I know more of what to expect. In terms of the plot, I will enjoy it more, because what you have to remember as well is I don't watch any trailers before I watch the films. So I didn't really quite know, you know, what the story was going to be. But there were some aspects of it that I absolutely loved. Like I say, I'm sure it was the sister, but I'm not 100% sure if it was a sister. The kind of sister aspect, and not the sister aspects, but the, you know, that kind of technology. I really liked the end. I thought the end was brilliant, so I'm really looking forward to Black Panther 2. I think they set it up really nicely. And do you know what? Now I think about it, same thing happened with Coco when I was talking about that. Now I think about it, you know, I think I would enjoy it more when I rewatch it. But either way, that's Black Panther. Let me know your thoughts on it, because I know everyone's kind of seen it. My favourite things about it, like I said, were the culture around it. I thought that was great. I feel like we need more of that in movies, because it made it seem so much more real, and I don't know, I loved that about it. And again, the cool science lab sister, she was amazing. I loved her. The next film that I watched was a rewatch, and that was No Strings Attached from 2011. I have a real soft spot for this film. I don't know what it is, I just really love it. It's got Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher in it, and it's one of those kind of chick flick romantic movies that is just fun, and you could watch and it put a smile on your face. If you're having a kind of stressful day, this will brighten the day. I gave it 4 stars. I've watched it a bunch of times. I could rewatch it now even. I only watched it, you know, not long ago. I could happily rewatch it now and really enjoy it. It's just, you know, it's one of those boy meets girl. They start out, you know, no strings attached, and you obviously can kind of see where it's going to go. No Strings Attached came out around the same time as Friends with Benefits, with Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis, and I went back and forth between which one I enjoyed more. I've just switched all the time. I think now I'm onto No Strings Attached more, but who knows. If you've seen one and you haven't seen the other, then I would definitely recommend, and you enjoyed it, then I would definitely recommend you watch the other one, because I think they're both enjoyable, and if you like one, you're probably going to like the other one. So yeah, I would recommend that if you like kind of romantic, silly films. Silly? It is kind of silly. It's like silly fun. Then I would recommend this one, because it just puts a smile on your face. The next one that I watched, after watching No Strings Attached, I wanted to watch another film, kind of similar, like a romantic comedy type of one. So I picked I Can Never Be Your Woman from 2007. This again was a rewatch. I gave it 3 stars. I thought the plot and the story was a little bit dated, and I didn't really enjoy it too much at all, but I thought the characters were great. There's Michelle Pfeiffer, Paul Rudd, I love Paul Rudd, and Saoirse Ronan. Now Saoirse plays the most fantastic character ever. She's really, really young in this film, but she's absolutely brilliant and so funny. Paul Rudd's great as well. So she's kind of what makes the movie for me, and I would watch it again in the future, because I think she's just a great character in this. I love her, she's brilliant. And what people were saying, I'd kind of read some reviews, is that she's kind of like the young Ladybird in this film, and I've now watched Ladybird, and I can absolutely see that. She must be like, I don't know, 9 or 10 or something. She's just fantastic though in the film. Maybe she's more, maybe she's 11, I don't know. She's very young though, and absolutely brilliant. So kind of Saoirse makes the film for me for this one. The next film that I watched was Early Man from 2018. I gave this 3.5 stars. It's stop motion Aardman animation, which I really enjoy. I love stop motion. This one though was just okay. It's about these cavemen who end up in a football match with some people from the Bronze Age. The Bronze Age kind of come and try and take over, and then they decide to have a football match to see whether or not the people from the Stone Age can take back their land and live there and stuff. And I'm not a huge fan of football, even though I ended up watching most of the World Cup England matches. I ended up getting into that because we were kind of getting far, so I just ended up watching those ones, and I did get quite into those. But overall, this was just okay. I gave it 3.5, which might be a little bit generous. Maybe it's more of a 3 for me. It was sweet and it was nice, but it wasn't really my favourite. I don't know if I can see myself rewatching it. I much preferred Shaun the Sheep, to be honest. I'm just not sure about this one too much. And then the final one that I watched in June was All the Money in the World from 2017. And this was just very much okay. The story, the plot, not much happened. It's about this this kidnapping of this rich family, and so they kidnapped the grandson, thinking that, you know, they get a big payout. And then the grandfather's very kind of stingy with his money and very careful with it, and he doesn't want to pay out to get the grandson back. And it's just kind of about that, and just not too much really went on. I just found it a little bit boring. I did give it 3 stars because there was some characters that I really liked. There was some parts that I thought were kind of interesting, but overall it just ran a little bit too long. Let me try and find out how long it is. It is, I see, I check on my films on Letterboxd. It's loading. It's not working. Nothing's working. The camera keeps cutting off because it's too hot, and Letterboxd is just doing that little colourful, oh, here we go. So yeah, it's 2 hours 10 minutes long, 2 hours 12 minutes long, which is kind of a little bit too long for that type of film. Anyway, that is everything that I watched in May and June. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought of any of these films, and if you enjoyed a little bit more in-depth description about each one. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye!